Welcome back. We're gonna do a couple videos on writing linear equation with parallel slope and perpendicular slope. We have been using parallel slope. Today we are going mainly focus on slope that are perpendicular. Remember that two lines are parallel if and only if they have the same slope, or two horizontal lines are parallel. So today we're gonna mainly focus how to tweak a slope parallel to a slope that is perpendicular. So remember that perpendicular line are perpendicular if those slope are opposite, negative, reciprocal. Right? That's one way. Negative, opposite, reciprocal. So you find this slope. You, like many of you, will use the term flip, but the proper term is reciprocal with a negative sign. Whatever it is, you change it, you flip it, you do the reciprocal, and you change the sign. Second, you can take whatever m slope 1 is times slope 2, it should equal to negative 1. The other third option, if you have a horizontal line right, and a vertical line in the same coordinate grid, automatically they will be perpendicular, right? Are perpendicular. So those are the three things that you need to know about perpendicular line. Right? If you have an horizontal line and a vertical line on the same coordinate grid, there will be perpendicular line. That will be an extreme. So we'll focus on those two. Right? So the product of their slope, if you take two slopes, you multiply them together, the outcome is negative 1, then they slope are perpendicular. The other option, you find the slope of the original line and you do the reciprocal with a different sign. Opposite, negative, opposite, reciprocal. Those are the three ways to determine that you are dealing with the perpendicular line. So we're gonna work some thing out. Remember, your main goal is to tweak the slope. Let's assume that you have this equation here, right? 4, 2 is your order pair, and 1 and negative 4 are the second order pair. You're gonna find the slope. Right? Remember, originally the slope is y1 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So we're gonna find the slope. This is your y2, this is your y1, right? This is x1, this is x2. So that will be negative 4 minus 2 over, right? Negative 4 minus 2 over 1 minus 4. All right, you will end up with negative 6 over negative 3. In this case, m1 is positive 2. You cannot use that slope. So if you use that slope, that means it will be parallel. So in this case, we're going to use that way, that formula, m2 times m1 is equal to negative 1. So in this case, m1 is 2. So we'll have 2 times m2 is equal to negative 1. Divide both sides by 2. In this case, the perpendicular slope is negative 1/2, according to that. So you will have to use negative. You cannot use 2. You use 2 to help you find the slope that is perpendicular. If you use 2, the slope will be parallel. In this case, you have to use negative 1/2 as your slope. So in this case, since we indicate a slope that is perpendicular, then we go into the equation. So the second step, we find the slope. That was the first one. The second step, we're going to use principal form y minus y1 equal m times x minus x1. So you'll have, in this case, you're going to take your y1 is 2, your x1 is 4, and you're going to solve for y. In this case, you will have y minus 2 is equal to slope, which is negative 1/2, times x minus x1, which is 4. So remember, if you have problem with fraction, the best thing is to multiply both sides by 2 to get rid of the fraction. That's what I will do. No majority do have problem with fraction. Otherwise, you will have to do this with negative 1/2. I will negative 1/2 x, negative 1/2 x plus 2. Right? That's what it should be. So since I already told you I'm going to multiply by 2, that's what we're going to do. Especially no majority do have, if you have problem with fraction. In your discrete form, you will have 2y minus 4. These two cancel with that. Then you will end up minus 1/2 x plus 4. In this case, you add 4 on each side. Then you will have 2y equal negative 1x plus 8. Then you divide by 2. Then your equation, that will be negative 1/2 x plus 4. That will be the equation that is perpendicular to that line. Then you're done. Remember, the objective is to tweak your slope. You're not doing nothing new. If you already know how to write an equation in slope-intercept form that is parallel, you use the slope as is. You don't do anything with the slope. With perpendicular, you have to tweak the slope. You have to take the negative reciprocal of the original slope, and that would be the one that is perpendicular. When you identify x1 and y1, then you put it in the plane slope form. I will give you an equation. Alright, that's the first example. You're going to do as many as possible, so you'll be able to know what to do in those situations. Right? Second, right, you have those other pairs. This is x1, y1, x2, y2. Once again, you're going to find slope. Remember formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Right, this is my y2, so I will have negative 1 minus 2 over 5 minus 1. So in this case, I will have negative 3 over 5 plus 1, which is 6. In this case, my slope is negative 1/2. So m1 is negative 1/2. Remember, to find the perpendicular slope is m1 times m2 is equal to negative 1. So my slope one is negative 1/2. I will have negative 1/2 times m2 is equal to negative 1. In this case, I will have negative 1/2 m2 is equal to negative 1. In this case, multiply both sides by negative 2. Then I will have m2 is equal to 2 is equal to positive 2. So this slope that I'm going to use is positive 2. I cannot use that. So since I know my slope is positive 2, then I can identify my x1, which is negative 1, x2, x1, which is 2. Then I'm going to solve for y. Then I'm going to write my plane slope formula. Those are the two steps that you must use to get to a coordinates y minus y1 equal m times x minus x1. Then since I've already identified those 10, then I'm going to insert them here. I will have y minus 2 equal 2 times x minus 1. and then I will have y minus 2 equal 2 times x plus 1, because I have a double negative. I will have y minus 2 equal, then I discrete property, give you 2x, 2 times 1, that will give you 2. Then add 2 to each side. Then the equation that is perpendicular to that is 2x plus 4. This is the equation that I am looking for. 2x plus 4 is my equation. Alright, so that's the second one. So let's move on, because it's nothing different. Right. So I'm going to use this one, keeping it again. Then equation 2 is done. Alright, you are given an equation y minus 3x is equal to 9, and the telling it goes 2.95. This is my x1, this is my y1. Now I need to identify this slope. In order to identify this slope, I need to solve for y. So I will have to add 3x on each side. So I will have y equal 3x plus 9. In this case, my m1 is 3, y equal mx plus b. This slope is the coefficient in front of your x. So remember, m1 times m2 must be equal to -1. m1 is 3. That will be 3 times m2 is equal to -1. Then divide by 3. Then the slope that is perpendicular is -1/3. This is the slope that I must use. I must use -1/3 as my slope. Right? We cannot use that slope. If you use that slope, it will be an equation that is parallel. Don't need an equation that is parallel, you need an equation that is perpendicular. So you have to pick your slope. So you're going to use the same concept again. In this case, x1 is 5, x1 is 9, excuse me, big mistake, and y1 is 5, and as always you're solving for y. So we're going to use guideline 2. You don't need that information again. You only need it to find your slope. So you're going to go here. That'll be y minus y1, which is 5, equal this slope, which is -1 over 3 1/3, the 1/3 times x minus x1, which is 9. Since if you don't have problem with fraction to distribute 1/3 times x, that will give you -1/3 x, and -1/3 times -9, that will be +3, is equal y minus 5. Then you will have to add 5. So I don't usually solve it this way, since I know what I'm doing. Since majority of you have problem with fraction, I will ask to multiply both sides by 3. So if you don't have problem with fraction, distribute the 1/3, and this 3 is cancelled with that 3, and you will have 3y minus 15. Then you distribute the -1 with -1x. -1 times -9 is +9, and you add 15 to each side, solving for y. Then you will have 3y equal -1/3 x plus 24 divided by 3. Then you find y is equal -1/3 x plus 8. -1/3 x plus 8 is your equation that is perpendicular to y equal to x plus 9. So the slope has to be opposite reciprocal. That's our equation. So if you follow this guideline, you will be on your way to victory. Not difficult. only tweak the slope. Once you tweak the slope, then you go back to when slope form you replace. The only major thing is just you have the other equation, which is y equal 3x plus 5, and passing 2 point -3, -4. Since your equation is already in y equal mx plus b, so you don't need to worry about that. So you can identify the slope. The slope is the coefficient in front of the x term after you solve for y. They already solved for y for you. In this case, m1 is 3. So I'm going to look for m2. Is m1 times m2 is equal to -1. The product of this must be equal to -1. So since slope is 3, that will be 3 times m2 is equal to -1. Then divide by 3. In this case, slope 2 is -1/3. This slope that is perpendicular to 3 is -1/3. This is the perpendicular slope, and this will be the parallel slope. You don't need the parallel slope because you're not writing a parallel equation, you're writing an equation that is perpendicular. Therefore, we don't need that. We need to use that. Then we're going to use the different slope form, as just said, to as your guideline, which is y minus y1 equal m times x minus x1. In this case, x1 is -3, y1 is -4. Then you're solving for y. Those are the information we need to identify and to let yourself know. Those are the information that I need, and I must plug it in different slope intercept form. Some of you may use y equal mx plus b and solve for v. So, like I promised before, I'm going to use different slope form always, unless you want me to use different slope form. I will have to use that. Alright, in this case, you will have y minus y1, which is -4, equal slope, which is -1/3, times x minus 3. But simplifying those double negative, and you will have y plus 4 equal -1/3 times x plus 3. Alright, once again, if you don't have problem with fraction, you distribute -1/3. -1/3 times x will give you -1/3 x. -1/3 times 2 is -1. Then you'll have to subtract 4. Like I always telling you, if it's a fraction, multiply both sides by 3, then that's what I'm going to continue to do. If you want to distribute -1/3, no problem. Then you'll have 3y plus 12. And this 3 is cancelled to that 3. Then you will have to distribute the -1, and you will have -1x minus 3 at 12 on each side. Then you will have 3y equal -1x plus 9 divided by 3. Then this is the equation that is perpendicular, -1/3 x plus 3. It is the equation that is perpendicular this opposite negative opposite reciprocal. Alright, I'm gonna do another one. So by now you see the pattern is the same. The only thing that you are doing different is just tweak the slope. So in order to tweak the slope, first we identify the slope of the original line. Whatever the slope is, then we use the formula that said m1 times m2 is equal to -1. That's one of the definition of perpendicular line. The product of the slope is equal to -1, or the slope negative opposite reciprocal. Whichever it's easier for you, that's what you will have to do. another problem. You have three y plus 4x is equal to 12 and pass through point negative 3, negative 4. Now we don't know the slope. In this case, we'll have to solve for y, put it in y equal mx plus b. We'll have to say y equal mx plus b. So it is in standard form. We're going to change it from standard form to slope intercept form. We're solving so for y, we subtract 4x on this side. Then you'll have 3y equal negative 4x plus 12. Then you divide by 3. When you divide by 3, then you'll have y equal negative 4x plus 4. Now slope 1 is negative 4/3. Alright, we don't need that slope, we need the slope that is perpendicular. Then we're going to use the guideline. M1 times M2 is equal to negative 1. Right, in this case, M1 is negative 4/3 times M2 is equal to negative 1. So multiply by the reciprocal, which is negative 3 over 4, and you do the same thing, negative 3 over 4. Those cancel out, and you have M2 is equal to 3/4. So M2 is equal to 3/4. This is the slope that you want. This one is parallel, you don't need a parallel. You need one that is perpendicular. Then once you identify this slope that is perpendicular, that's your objective. You need this slope that is perpendicular. Then you identify your x1, which is negative 3, y1, which is negative 4, and we're going to solve for y. We're going to use so from y minus y1 equal m times x minus x1. So we'll allow y minus 4, and this slope was 3/4, as it is 3/4 times x minus 3. Then we need to simplify those double negative. Then you will have y plus 4 equal 3/4 times x plus 3. Since you don't want to do the fraction, multiply both sides by 4, which is your common denominator. And this 4 cancel with that 4, then you distribute. I'll give you 4y, 4 times 4 is 16. Now you see 3 times x is 3x, 3 times 3 is 9. You subtract 16 from each side and solve for y. Then you will have 4y equal 3x minus 7 divided by 4, divided by 4, divided by 4. Then you will have y equal 3/4 x minus 7/4. This is the equation that is perpendicular to that equation. So I hope that you understand what's going on. So it's not. Alright, we're gonna continue with writing equation of parallel and perpendicular lines. So the main goal is the slope. In this second part, I'm going to write two equations, one that is parallel to the line that is given and one that is parallel to the line that is given. So you will have the both options. Remember, parallel line must have the same slope but different y-intercept. Parallel line must have the same slope but different y-intercept. For perpendicular line, the slope must be negative reciprocal, right? Negative reciprocal or opposite reciprocal. right? Or if you take m1 times m2, the outcome should be equal to -1. There's a special case. For instance, if you have an horizontal line and a vertical line in the same coordinate grid, you will be automatically perpendicular. This is extreme, so this is rarely happen, but it can happen. So if you have an equation y equal to 4 and x equal to -5, this is an horizontal and a vertical line, they will be automatically perpendicular. Other than that, it has to do with the slope. When you determine if two lines are parallel, they will have the same slope but different y-intercept. If two lines are perpendicular, the slope must be negative reciprocal. All right, so let's go with number 1. You have an equation y equal -3x minus 8, and they tell you it goes to point -5, 7. Right, -5, -7. So I'm going to write two equations, one that is parallel and one that is perpendicular. The first thing I need to do, since the equation is already in slope intercept form, y equal mx plus b, right? They already solved for y for you. Then I can identify the slope, right? In this case, this slope m1 is -3. So since I'm going to write an equation that is parallel to that, I must use that slope parallel to the given line. Or to the given equation. So my slope is correct. I don't have to do anything. Parallel line have the same slope. Remember your b, in this case, b is -8. As long as the b of your new equation is not the same as that, then they will be parallel. So in this case, x1 is -5 and y1 is -7, and we're going to solve for y. That's for the parallel. So we're going to use the guideline y minus y1 equal m times x minus x1, which is the principal form. So in this case, we will have to insert those information. So in order to insert those information, I will have y minus y1. In this case, y1 is -7. I will have a double negative equal to this slope, which is -3 times x minus x1, which is negative. So I will have y plus 7 equal -3 times x plus 5. And I will have to use distributive property. Then I can subtract 7 from each side, solve for y, then do distributive property. -3x, -3 times 5 is -15, minus 7, then I will have y equal -3x minus 22. Since my b is not the same, then those two lines are parallel. This equation is parallel to that equation. They are same slope but different y-intercept. Right? That's the first equation. Now I'm going to write an equation that is perpendicular to that line. So in order to write an equation that is perpendicular, my m1 was -3. I need to identify an m2. I need the different slopes. And it says m1 times m2 must be equal to -1. So I will have -3 times m2 is equal to -1, divide both sides by -3. In this case, this slope that is perpendicular to that is 1/3. So this slope that I must use is 1/3. Right? My slope is 1/3. Then I will use x1, which was -5, y1, which was -7, and I'm going to solve for y. So I'm doing the same thing. The only thing I did is to find the slope that is perpendicular to that. If I was writing an equation that is parallel like I did earlier, you don't have to do anything with this slope. Parallel line must have the same slope. In this case, I'm writing an equation that is perpendicular. I must tweak my slope. I cannot use -3 as my slope. If I use -3 as my slope, that would be an equation that is parallel. I need an equation that is perpendicular. So that's the reason I'm doing that. So in this case, only need to reset that, reset the equation, and solve for y to find the equation that is perpendicular. So I have my information here. You cannot use that n, you have to use the 1/3. So I will have y minus 7 equal 1/3, which is my slope, times x minus 5. Right? Then you will have y plus 7 equal 1/3 times x plus 5. So since I want to clean my denominator, clean my fraction, I must multiply both sides by 3. That's what I usually do. Otherwise, this will be the 1/3. Then these 3 will cancel with that. Then you will have 3y plus 21 equal 1x plus 5. Subtract 21 on each side. Then you will have 3y equal 1x minus 16 divided by 3. Then the equation that is perpendicular to that is y equal 1/3 x minus 16 over 3. This is the equation that is perpendicular, and you're done. Alright, that's how you do that. Alright, you're done with that. So let's go to the other one. Alright, the other one, you have 2 other pairs. Once you have 2 other pairs, first we will have to find the slope. Since the slope is not given to you, we'll have to find what this slope is. So we're going to calculate slope in this one. Right? Sometimes it's given to you, sometimes it's not given to you. So we have 2 other pairs. Your other pairs are negative 1, 3, and 6, comma negative 2. So this is my x1, y1, x2, y2. I'm going to find slope. So formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That's the first thing. So let's calculate this slope. Alright, my y2 is negative 2 minus y1, which is 3 over 6 minus 1. And I will have negative 5 over 6 plus 1. 6 plus 1 is 7. So my slope 1 is negative 5, 7. This is the parallel slope. This is parallel slope. This is the slope I must use to write my equation that is parallel. In this case, I will use my slope from y minus y1 equal m times x minus x1. In this case, my x1 is negative 1, my y1 is 3. I'm going to solve for y. So I have my information here. I'm going to solve for y. I'm going to insert those things here. That will be y minus y1, which is 3, equal negative 10 times x plus 1. The double negative becomes positive 1. Since I have a fraction as my slope, and I'm going to identify my denominator as 7, it will be wise to multiply by 7. If you don't know, especially if you have problem with fraction. If you don't have problem with fraction, this will be the negative 5, 7 times x, that will be negative 5, 7x, and negative 5, 7 times 1 is negative 5 over 7. That will have been an easy one. So since I usually use, I always multiply both sides by your denominator, so with constant, so I don't lose you. You'll have 7y minus 21. This 7 is cancelled with that 7, and you will have minus 5x minus 5. And you add 21 on each side. So solving for y, you will have 7y equal negative 5/7 x, that will give you plus 16, right? Just 5, negative 5x already divided. Hold on, sir, too fast, jump the count, and divide by 7. Then that will be the equation that is parallel to that. As long that they do not have this y-intercept, they are parallel. You will have y equal negative 5/7x plus 16/7. This is the parallel equation. Right. Now we're going to find the other equation that is perpendicular to that. So since the equation that is perpendicular to that, you have to take this slope. You already have this slope here. We cannot use that slope. So the property is m1 times m2 is equal to -1. Then m1 is negative 5/7. Negative 5/7 times m2 is equal to -1 multiplied by -7/5, the reciprocal, and you do the same thing, -7/5. This cancel, then you will have m2 is equal to 7/5. This is the slope that you must use. So this slope that is perpendicular is 7/5, and x1 is -1, and y1 is 3. So the only thing we have to do is to go back what the other equation that is perpendicular. We already find the one that is parallel. Now we need to find the one that is perpendicular. So you're going to use to form y minus y1 equal m times x minus x1. So this is the new information we're going to use for the perpendicular. Try to keep your dot in a row. So you will have y minus y1, which is 3, equal this slope, which is 7/5 times x minus 1, right? And you'll have y minus 3 is equal 7/5 times x plus 1, since you are double negative. And as always, my denominator is 5, multiply both sides by 5. That's how I always do it. Don't have to do that if you know how to work with fraction. So the 5 cancel the 5, so you will have 5y minus 15 when I do the distributive property. And you multiply with the 7 equals 7x plus 7 plus 15. You will have 15, then you will have 5y equal 7x plus 22, and divide by 5. And that will be the equation that is perpendicular. Y equals 7/5x plus 22/5. This is the equation that is perpendicular. But as you can see, when it's parallel, we do not do anything with the slope. But when it's perpendicular, you must do that. Alright? Then we're done with that. They're all the same. Once you can do one, you will be able to do all of them. The concept does not change, it's the process. Try to understand the process and the concept. Now the other question, you have 4x minus 2y is equal to 9, and goes to 8 -2. So your equation is in standard form. We're going to solve for y. Since we want y to be positive, we add 2y on this side. Then you will have 4x equal 2y plus 9. Then subtract 9 on this side. Then you will have 4x minus 9 is equal to 2y. Divide by 2. Divide by 2. Then you have y equal 2x minus 9 over 2. Then my slope is 2, right? The coefficient is going to be x after we solve for y. So my x1 is 8, my y1 is -2. Right? I'm going to use y minus y1 equal m times x minus x1 for my parallel line, parallel equation. All right. And remember to mention that you're solving for y. This is your guideline. Once you do this, you cannot go wrong. Then you will have y minus y1 minus 2 equal this, which is 2 times x minus x1, which is 8. It's beautiful when you're gonna when your sub is at a fraction, so you don't have to multiply both sides by your common denominator. Then you'll have to do this before that. I'll give you 2x, 2 times -8, -16. Then you're solving for y, you subtract 2 from each side. Then you will have y is equal to x minus 16. This is the equation that is parallel. Now to get the equation that is perpendicular, we have to tweak the slope. We cannot choose the slope 2. We need the slope that is perpendicular to that. Remember the rules is m1 times m2 is equal to -1. In this case, m1 was 2. You will have 2 times m2 is equal to -1 divided by 2. In this case, this slope that is perpendicular is 1/2. And remember, x1 was 8 and y1 was -2, and we're solving for y. This is for perpendicular. Okay. So you will have y minus y1 equal m times x minus x1. This is different slope form. We're going to use those information now. Right? Then you will have y minus 2 equal the slope, which is -1/2 times x minus x1, which is 8. Then you will have y plus 2 go -1/2 times x minus 8, since it's a fraction. Now, if you did not have a problem with fraction, you will take -1/2 multiplied by x will give you -1/2 x. -1/2 times 8, -8 will give you +4. Since I know many of you are struggling with fractions, so like I always tell you, in this case, I will multiply both sides by 2. And this 2 will cancel with that 2, and you will have 2y plus 4. When I do my distributive on that side, then you distribute -1, and that will give you -1x, -1 times -8 is +8. Then you subtract 4 on this side, and you will have 2y is equal to -1x plus 4 and divided by 2. The equation that is perpendicular, that will be -1/2 x plus 2. This is the equation that is perpendicular. Then you're done with that one. Right, we have another one. Before we're done with that section, they always say, my friend, once you can do one, you can do all of them. It's a concept, it's a process. But if you have a problem with your foundation, you need to work on your foundation. If your foundation is weak, that's where you need to spend time. Right now, your equation is in standard form. So we will have to solve y to put it in slope-intercept form. We need to change that from standard to slope-intercept form. I equal mx plus b. In this case, we're going to add 10x to each side. Then you will have 8y equal 10x plus 3, then divided by 8. Then you will have y equal 8x plus 3/8. However, this need to be simplified. Common mistake. You have two incoming factors, so y equal divided by 2, that will give you 5, by 2, that will give you 4, that will be 5/4 x plus 3/8. In your equation using slope intercept form, you can identify the slope. My slope is m is equal 5/4, and my x1 is 15, my y1 is 12, then I'm solving for y. Right. This is for the parallel. Parallel, you do not do anything with your slope. Then I'm going to use my guideline. Y minus y1 equal m times x minus x1, which is my principal form. Then I'm going to use those information. So I will have y minus 12 is equal 5/4 times x minus 15. Once again, it's a fraction, and I know in your following fraction, we will still do multiply side by 4. This 4 will cancel with that 4, then you distribute the property, that will give you 4y minus 48. Then distribute the 5, you will have 5x minus 75. Then add 48 on each side. Then you will have 4y equal 5x. You have 75 minus 48. Right? Then by 1, 6, 57 is 2. This will give you negative 27. Alright, divided by 4. Then your equation is 5/4x minus 27 over 4. That is the equation that is parallel. Now you need the equation that is perpendicular. To get the equation that is perpendicular, remember it is m1 times m2 is equal to negative 1. Right? m1 is 5/4 and m2 is equal to negative 1. Now multiply by 4/5 on both sides. Multiply by 4/5. Then you will have m2 is equal to negative 4/5. That's the slope that is perpendicular. Alright, and x1 is still 15, and y1 is 12. You're solving for y. These are the thing, and those are perpendicular. And you're going to use y minus y1 principal form is equal m times x minus x1. Then you will have y minus 12 is equal to negative 4/5 times x minus 15. Once again, if you don't have a problem with fraction, that will be an easy distribution. So the 5 collaborate with that, small you will not see that. Right, that will give you negative 4/5 x. That will be 3, that will give you plus 12. So always said, if you don't know, the easiest way to do the fraction is multiply both sides by 5. This 5 will always cancel with that, then you do the distributive property. You have y minus 60, then this will be negative 4x, that will be negative 4x plus 60. Alright, then you add 60 on each side, then you will have 5y minus 4x plus 120 divided by 5 divided by 5, then you will have y is equal to negative 4/5 x. I believe 120 divided by 5 is 24. Then that will be the equation that is perpendicular. So in this section, we work both ways. We work both steps. We use it when they are parallel. All right, we come back for the last section in parallel line in perpendicular line lesson, where you have to determine if two lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. In this case, let's recap that. Note, parallel lines have the same slope. This slope has to be identical. However, the y-intercept must be different, meaning that M1 must be equal to M2. B1 and B2 cannot be equal to be parallel. And in other words, when two lines are parallel, they will never touch. In that system, there will be no solution. Parallel line do not touch, no matter how long they prolong. But for perpendicular line, you only have to prove that the slope are opposite reciprocal, or the product of the slope must be equal to -1. If the two lines are not parallel, they're not perpendicular, in this case, they would be neither. So in order to do that, make sure that both equations must be in slope intercept form, y equals x plus b. If your equation in standard form, you have to solve for y. So we need both equations to be in y equals x plus b. Slope intercept form. So we can compare the slope and the y-intercept. So we have an example here, all right, where you have y is equal 4x plus 3/4, and we have y is equal to -1/4 x plus 4. We want to determine if that system, if this slope are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So since both equations are in slope intercept form, we're going to identify the slope and the y-intercept, and to either use if they are the same or if they are perpendicular. In this case, let's identify M1. M1 is 4 and B1 is 3/4. For M2, this slope is -1/4 and B2 is 4. Are they the same? No, they're not the same. This is 4, this is -1/4. Right? In this case, they're not parallel. So let's take, if we take M1 times M2, if it's equal to -1, then they are perpendicular. M1 times M2. Some of you will see that because obviously they are opposite reciprocal. So that's one way to determine if two slopes are perpendicular. If you take 4/1, you flip it, that will give you -1/4. In this case, I will tell you they are perpendicular. But let's apply this one. That will be 4 times -1/4. Right? This will cancel, and this will give you -1. In this case, those two lines are perpendicular because we just defined that when you multiply the two slopes, the outcome is -1. In this case, this one, they are perpendicular. In this case, we will see the lines are perpendicular. Very simple. You have to do the test. So you will say, how do you get the perpendicular? These are the rules. The rule says if the slope are parallel line, they have same slope but different y-intercept. When you compare M1 to M2, they're not the same. Even though the B are different, but the slope are not the same. So we cannot say they are parallel. So when you do the second test, M1 times M2 must be equal to -1. If I take 4 multiplied by -1/4, the 4 cancel with that. The only thing I have left is -1. So that proves that they are perpendicular. That's the first one. All right, we're done with that one. This is very simple, but as long as you can write your equation in slope intercept form, you will be okay. All right, now this is more challenging. Both equations are standard form. We're going to put them in slope intercept form. So we have 3x minus 5y is equal to 3. So I want my y to be positive. I'm going to move 5y on the other side, and I'm going to subtract 3. So I will have 3x minus 3 is equal to 5y. Then divide by 5. And I will have y equal 3/5 x minus 3/5. So in this case, I can say that m1 is 3/5 and b1 is negative 3/5. So I'm going to take the other one. Let's say negative 5x plus 3y is equal to 8. I'm going to solve for y. I'm going to add 5x on this side, add 5x. And I will have 3y equal 5x plus 8 divided by 3, divided by 3. Then I will have y equal 5/3 x plus 8/3. Now we'll have m2 is equal 5/3. Alright, m2 is equal to 5/3, and b2 is equal to 8/3. So now I'm going to compare the slope. The slope is 3/5. This is 5/3. They're not the same. Where they are reciprocal but not negative. So if I take 3/5, right, times 5/3, this cancel with that, this cancel with that, it will give me 1. It's giving me 1 but not a negative 1. If it was a negative 1, it would have been perpendicular. In this case, it's a negative 1, it's just a 1. In this case, it's neither. That would be neither parallel nor perpendicular. So that's what we'll have to do. That's done. Simple. That's why equation is slope intercept form. Alright. We have this one again. Both equations are in standard form. We're going to change in slope intercept form. 4x minus 3y is equal to 36. Add 3y, since I want my y to be positive, I'm solving for y. Subtract 36. Then I will have 4x minus 36 is equal to 3y divided by 3. Then I will have y equal 4/3x minus 12. So in this case, m1 is 4/3 and b1 is negative 12. The second equation is 3x plus 4y is equal to 20. I'm going to subtract 3x. Subtract 3x, I will have 4y minus 3x plus 20 divided by 4. Divided by 4, I will end up with y equal negative 3/4 x plus 5, y equal mx plus b. In this case, we'll have m2 is negative 3/4 and b2 is 5. When I compare them, they're not the same, they cannot be parallel. But if I look at them, I will see the negative reciprocal. Visually, you can see they are perpendicular. So let's prove that. If I multiply the two slopes, it must be equal to negative 1. So let I multiply the two slopes. I have 4/3 times negative 3/4. This 4 cancel with that 4, this 3 is cancel with that 4. The only thing that's left is negative 1. In this case, they are perpendicular. Very simple test, but make sure you are able to answer equation in slope intercept form. If you cannot answer equation in slope intercept form, you are in trouble. Other than that, you will have to guess. Alright, we have this one. Y equal 2/3 x minus 6 and y equal 2/3 x plus 6. Those equations are in y equal mx plus b. You don't have to do anything, both of them. and the slope for 1 is 2/3, and B1 is 6. The slope for 2 is 2/3, and B2 is 6. Right? In this case, the slope 2/3, they are the same, and they are different B. In this case, those two equations are parallel. Then you're done. All right. Let's move on. Next one, you have y equal negative x plus 5, and you have y is equal x plus 5. All right. In this case, obviously, they are the same. The intercept, they cannot be parallel. They will touch at 0, 5, similar intercept. So let us find the slope. M1 is negative 1, M2 is 1, and B1 is 5, and B2 is 5. They intersect, they cannot be parallel. No matter what, they will touch at 0, 5. However, if I take M1 times M2, I want to know what the outcome going to be. M1 is negative 1 times M2, which is 1. Negative 1 times 1 is negative 1. In this case, they are perpendicular. The product of the slope is equal to negative 1. They are perpendicular, opposite reciprocal. All right. So let's do another one. Y is equal to 5x, and y is equal to negative 5x plus 7. Both equations in y equal mx plus b. You don't need to solve, they already the form that you want. In this case, M1 is 5. In this case, B1 is 0, no y-intercept. Then the second one, M2 is negative 5, and B2 is 7. So the slope are not the same, positive 5 and negative 5 are not the same. You can see they're not parallel. But if I take M1 times M2 with the outcome is negative 1, that will be 5 times negative 5 is negative 25. In this case, they're not parallel, they're not perpendicular, it's neither. So that's how you work to determine if two lines are parallel or perpendicular. That's the end of this lesson. So let's recap. So parallel line to have same slope but different y-intercept. Perpendicular line, their slope are opposite reciprocal, or their product of the slope is equal to negative 1. So parallel line do not touch. If they do not touch, it's because they do not have any point in common. In this case, we will have no solution. Right? So those are the point that we cover in this lesson. So you know what to do. Study, watch those videos, go on YouTube channel, watch them, like, subscribe, and share. That was Mr. D. Once again, peace out.